So event considerations. Let's talk first about some of the things you really should consider when you're planning a virtual event. So your event purpose is a big one. The purpose is going to determine a lot of factors, like maybe the platform you choose, or are you going to have it be ticketed or not, or a lot of different things. The purpose really is key. So you may simply need to keep your community connected. You may be wanting to raise funds, or you may want to drive certain actions. Maybe you're looking for bringing more attention to your cause, or getting volunteers, or new donors, a variety of different things. So some things to keep in mind is some things about in-person events don't actually translate that well to online to virtual. So you do need to think about that. And then virtual events sometimes do some things much better. For instance, with Children and Nature Network, for their event, they basically had a worldwide audience now. And a lot of those people probably wouldn't have been able to come. Also, when you're talking about panelists, guests, speakers, keynote speakers, other things, it can be a lot easier for them to participate. You may be able to get certain people to help with your event you wouldn't normally. So there are some things virtual space does better. So definitely take advantage of that. So it looks like some of you have already had a virtual event and went great. So that's good. That's awesome. Another thing is to consider your audience very carefully. So this is a screenshot of an event we did for Mind Body Solutions. They are very not technical. They're not technical. Their audience is not technical. So we took all of that in mind. They were fairly familiar with Zoom. So we used Zoom as the video platform for them to bring their content into this event because they knew how to use that. And then they wanted to build their YouTube audience, and they're putting a lot of their work now there. So this was a live stream virtual event on YouTube. So it really helped them add fuel to that channel and build up that communication channel even more. And so they've had a long-lasting benefit from having that virtual event on YouTube. So these are things to consider about your audience and your participants when you're planning events. So some things to keep in mind, like I kind of mentioned, is the technical level of people. Don't require people to do too much. Consider the access. How are people going to access your virtual event? Do you want it to be really frictionless? Don't have to register. Don't have to have some kind of account in something. Make the actions you want people to do very easy. Make it very easy to interact. If you want to have questions, or make it easy to donate, make all those things as easy as possible so people don't have to hunt for those things. And then make sure you support sort of your audience. So by audience support, I mean people have a limited sort of amount of screen stamina, right? For instance, I was doing 4-hour in-person training events before COVID at our office, which was great. We had SEO training and all this different training we could go through with nonprofits and really get into the nitty gritty. We wouldn't do that online. That's just far too long. So people have a limited screen stamina. They need bio breaks. And be mindful of your audience's typical schedule. What time of day are they most available? What time of week, time of month, time of year, those kinds of things. So keep all of that stuff sort of in mind when you're planning how to best put your content to your audience. Carefully consider sort of the platform you're going to use to and all the features. So if you have, say, Facebook is a big channel for you, YouTube is, and you want to build those channels up, you want to interact more, connect more with your audience, those would be good places to have your virtual event. And blending technologies together to sort of accomplish a virtual event is very common. You may have, a certain registration system, but then you may be, streaming on YouTube because, of course, YouTube itself has no registration system. So there's a lot of different technologies you may have to blend to actually get the kind of final sort of result that you want. And be careful sort of management overload of these platforms. Different platforms are going to require a different amount of your staff's time to kind of, effectively manage and keep things. So make sure that whatever you're gonna choose, you can get that training on the platform and you can kind of get to know it before you do your event. There's nothing worse than trying to kind of do things last minute. So keep all those things in mind. Keep the technical requirements in mind too of your audience. What kind of devices are they going to use? What are they going to access? How are they going to access it? Make sure you're not asking them to do too much. Keep in mind their technical requirements. Are they kind of PC computer people, or are they going to be using phones, or how are they going to get to your virtual event? And keep in mind security and registration as well. Most people are sort of considering, some type of registration because they want to capture who their audience is, and then they may want to communicate with them later, follow up for donations or different things. So definitely make sure you can, whatever platform you're using, you can get access to that data and you can export it and kind of use it how you need to. Keep in mind about security too, around that. You want to have just enough security, to make sure that you don't have people coming into your event you don't want there, but, not enough to make it overbearing. And then think about, what kind of interactivity do you want people to have? Most of the time, virtual events with some kind of interactivity are doing better. If people can ask questions or talk to, the panelists, or, visit vendors or something, or donate or bid on something. And virtual events can be a great opportunity for some e-commerce stuff too. So figure out far ahead of time, how you're going to take donations. How's that going to work? You don't want people to be confused about how to do that, or when they want to donate, they end up leaving the event while it's still going and they're missing some of that content. So think about all of that stuff. And we're going to go and talk a little bit about some of the, platforms later, and kind of the bonuses and downfalls to some of them. One thing that we'll show later, and that we use a lot for our production purposes, is this tool called OBS, Open Broadcast System. And it really is kind of sort of the Swiss Army knife virtual event content creation for us. And I'll show some examples. We use it for live streaming and streaming pre-recorded content. We use it for remote video recording and recording things when we can't go do video shoots for some reason, if it's because of COVID or just distance. It also has a virtual camera system. Let's say you are running your event mostly in Zoom. Say it's a Zoom conference. We've done a lot of those Zoom conferences. A lot of times people want to play sponsor content or have music or do different things. Zoom is not a great platform for really playing content. It's more of a sort of video conferencing platform. So OBS can be used as a virtual virtual camera to manage all that content you may want to play back for your audience. So it's free. This tool is great because it's free. It's open source. A lot of the other systems you may have to buy, like Streamlabs or some of these other things, are actually just OBS underneath, and they've kind of added some different graphics and features to them. It's similar to Vimeo. Vimeo has a paid solution too that's similar. Vimeo has a free tool as well for live event streaming and stuff. But you do have to have a paid Vimeo account to use that, so it's not exactly free. And this tool is Mac, PC. You can run it on anything. So it's a pretty effective tool, and we use it a lot. Another thing to consider is your post-event. You probably have a goal in mind for your event, right? It may be you want to raise funds, or just get publicity, or whatever it is. Maybe awards. You're giving it, you're giving awards away to certain people in your community. So keep in mind what your goal is and what you want to do after the fact. Because now virtual events are kind of a thing. They're not really new anymore, and everyone is doing things online. We're all stuck in a virtual world because of COVID. So people may miss your event, or they may only catch part of it. So a lot of times, a lot of the actions people take, or sort of viewing the event or donating, can happen after it's over. So keep in mind and strategize about your post-event thing. Like I said earlier, make sure you can manage your attendee information very well, export it, get it into your, say your email platforms. You can email them, follow up later. You may want to take the content to, and of course have an on-demand version, which is usually, if your event's going to be streamed over, say, YouTube, that kind of happens automatically, usually by default. Platforms like Vimeo, YouTube, other platforms where you may stream content, those just become normal videos people can watch later anytime they want, once the event is over. That's kind of the default. So keep that in mind, what you want to do kind of with your on-demand version of the event. And then a lot of times our clients also use the content we help produce for the event. They'll use it later. A perfect example is Emma Norton. For their gala, they have people who have gone through their program come on and talk about how great it is and how much Emma Norton has helped them. And of course, we help them film those segments, and we made them very nice. And so they're going to use those after the fact for other things. They'll use those little segments, on their website or for other purposes. So events can really strengthen some of these existing relationships too. And for people who are new to your organization, a really nice virtual event can really be a good first impression kind of situation. So there's a lot of benefit that can come from virtual events. I'm going to show this one example when we talk about promotion. The next thing is you really do want to promote your virtual event, and usually a good month is kind of a good window of time before it happens to really start promoting it. And that can be hard because of COVID. Sometimes timelines have been kind of shrunk and it can be difficult, but definitely don't just plan on having an event and not promoting it. Promotion is a key. A lot of times organizations spend the same amount of effort promoting that they did putting it on. So here's an example of Emma Norton, who did a really good job at their event. So they have a name for it, Opening Doors Gala. They have a logo for just the event, a branding, and this really strong branding. And you can see they had a landing page and they had Facebook content and then the YouTube content. It all looked very similar. It was all very cohesive. It really helped people understand their brand, what they're trying to do with this event. I'm going to actually switch this poll here. Thank you for answering the polls. So it looks like most of you are interested in having an event but haven't had one yet. And some say they had one and went good. No one answered their event went bad. So that's great. That's awesome. So here's a poll about, what an event might help you do for your organization. So a typical promotion plan is create some kind of branding and design around your event, just to make it really cohesive. That helps. And you can have that kind of branding and design and theme kind of flow throughout the whole program too of the event. Build really strong messaging. Like with Emma Norton, they had strong, consistent messaging across their social, their email, the website, and the event. And sometimes people even do things in print for it. So, definitely make a cohesive effort across all your communication channels to do that. Another thing to consider, and people often miss this, is leverage the participants who are going to be in your event. Leverage them, and it especially helps. Say you have some kind of A-list people or people who are well known or something. If you can get them to help promote it, maybe they do a tweet or a Facebook post. Hey, I'm going to be part of this event this time. Look at this, that kind of thing. That can really help. And I'll show you some examples of events that had some pretty significant guests where, like a one tweet from them may result in hundreds of new registrations for the event, because people want to hear what they have to say about whatever the subject is. So one tip for doing that is make it really, really easy for your participants, your panelist or your keynote speaker, whoever. Make it very easy for them to help with that promotion. So provide them example social posts, maybe Facebook or tweet or LinkedIn. Give them the graphics, the logo. Give them a package of everything they need to help promote. So if the off, if they're going to do it for you, if the off chance they have a big audience and they're willing to do a tweet or something, make it easy.